What's going on, guys? Ted from Nerd Immersion here, and I'm back with a different, I guess it's sort of a DM's Guild review, but also a D&D Beyond-ish thing, and also a fan request. So it's a lot of things all in one. So what am I going to be talking about today? I'm going to be talking about the Expanded Racial Feats. If you guys recall, I did a video on the racial feats contained within Xanathar's Guide to Everything, but as a pre-order bonus, if you pre-ordered Xanathar's Guide to Everything on D&D Beyond, you got access to some bonus feats for expanded races. This is basically every official published race that was not contained within the player's handbook, because the expanded racial feats that they gave us in Xanathar's Guide only included player's handbook races, which I feel like was a little bit of an oversight, although I guess that was maybe their effort to not have you go through multiple books. I don't know if that was something tied to, say, Adventurers League, so that you weren't mixing books. I don't know. I don't particularly like it. I think it was kind of an oversight, and I feel like a lot of people do as well. The fact that it was a pre-order bonus seems weird, right? To get pre-order content for... this is basically adding, in what my opinion is, a video game model to a tabletop RPG, adding pre-order content, initially for an RPG book, having basically, initially, if you wanted this, you had to get it through D&D Beyond rather than a physical book, which is the main medium that we use for Dungeons and Dragons. I mean, for your, your guides and things, but eventually this was released on D&D Beyond. But the weird thing is, upon all of this, is it was touted as a pre-order incentive, and then it was released on the DM's Guild, but it is not official as per WotC and Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition. These are not, I guess, canon feats. These are not Adventure League available. They're basically like any other piece of homebrew content out there. So take it or leave it. I will say that I do think most of them are good, and I feel like they have a place in my game. In fact, they do in my upcoming homebrew campaign. They do have a place, and they will be utilized if people would like to use them. But again, they are basically considered homebrew. But I did just want to jump over here. So a thank you to, I'm going to go with Pokeleffi. I hope I pronounced that, or yeah, I'm going to hope I pronounced that right. But basically asked me to do a review. So, Expanded Racial Feats, this is on the DM's Guild right here. It is also $2.99 to purchase it on the DM's Guild. You do not get it for free. You can see it has 3 stars, and it lists out what all the feats are. I guess, I don't know what the issues that people have, but again, they're not official. If you pre-ordered it, you got it for free. You may still be able to get it for free. So on D&D Beyond, again, as you guys know, I'm not a huge fan of D&D Beyond in general, because I think it was too little too late, but I don't want to get into that. There's a video on the channel where I basically sort of rant about how I feel about D&D Beyond in my D&D Beyond review. But I bought Xanathar's Guide via D&D Beyond with the purpose of being able to put out videos as soon as possible. Because if I bought the book, then I could get it at 12 midnight and then start reviewing it immediately, which was my purpose of getting it on D&D Beyond and then still going out and buying a physical book. So, these are them here. You can review them. I don't know if everybody can do this, but basically what I did was I went to we'll show you. I went to Compendium. Sorry, was it character? Rules. Let's see. Let's go back to D&D Beyond. I was on main D&D Beyond page. I went to homebrew content. I went to view feats. And then under the author, I typed in Bad Eye. Which may be a way for you guys to get these for free. I'm not sure. Bad Eye, if you filter... Now, I'm not sure if these are closed off or not, but basically the D&D Beyond admin, Bad Eye, was the one who designed all of these, so you can just go ahead and view them. Now, again, I can't promise that anybody can view these, but I can promise you that these are the exact same feats contained here in the printed out if you were to buy it here. So if you can get them for free, great. So, that being said, that's all that out of the way. Sorry, we're 5 minutes in. I haven't actually talked about the feats yet, but I figured it was important to talk about that. So, let us start. Angelic Protection. This is your Aasimar feat. You have advantage on saving throws against spells and other magical effects. Flat out, I think this sucks. The fact that a Yuan-Ti Pureblood gets this as part of their racial feature, and plus poison immunity and everything else. Yes, you can argue that Yuan-Ti Pureblood are OP, and I will entertain that they are definitely one of the most powerful races out there for sure, without any kind of weird limitations. But the fact that this just gives you something that they have inborn, and you have to waste a whole feat on it, seems a waste. So I personally think if you're going to give them this, give them a stat boost too, give them like a +1 to charisma, and then this, then I think it kind of evens out a little bit. Or give them something else as well. So Aasimar's kind of got shafted. Dao Heritage. There's Genasi ones, and they are all quite powerful, and they all have a similar aspect. So for the Dao, this is your Earth Genasi. Increase your strength or con by 1 to a maximum of 20. You can learn the Detect Magic spell and cast it at will without expending a spell slot. And you gain natural armor. While you aren't wearing armor, you calculate your AC as 13 plus your dex. You can use this shield and still gain benefit of this. This is quite powerful. You'll see that all of the Genasi ones give you a +1 to 1 stat, Detect Magic at will without a slot, and then some other third option. This one gives you natural armor. So again, if these are allowed in your campaign, again, they're homebrew, so they have to be cleared by your DM first, as do pretty much anything. But this is pretty powerful, makes for a pretty solid class overall. Strength or Constitution, so you can make a pretty decent, 13 plus your dex was the equivalent of a, either mage armor or something like a Dragon Blood Sorcerer, so that is very cool. Jin Heritage, we have another. This is your Air Genasi. Again, Dex or Con, Constitution being the main bonus that Genasis get, and then obviously Strength is tied to Earth, and Dex is tied to Air, and so on. So Detect Magic at will, and you have resistance to Thunder and Lightning damage. So this is pretty solid. Air Genasi. I mean, you have, I think, Levitate at will is one of your options. You can hold your breath indefinitely for the base race. Now you're getting Detect Magic will and resistance to Thunder and Lightning. Not bad. Efreet Heritage. This is your Fire Genasi. Constitution or Intelligence by 1. Detect Magic at will. In Dark Vision, your Fire Genasi are the only Genasi to have Dark Vision. Their Dark Vision goes out to 60 feet. Interesting, different than the red. Every other Dark Vision race, yours is in shades of red rather than shades of gray. They are pretty powerful in that they get resistance to fire damage and a couple, I think, a cantrip and a spell. So this just increases your Dark Vision. Feline Grace for the Tabaxi out there. This gives you a +1 to your dex. You can use your Feline Agility trait twice before you must move 0 feet to use your trait again. You can still only use this once per turn when you move, so this is basically your double Tabaxi speed movement. You can use this twice now. And you don't take falling damage from 20 feet or less if you aren't incapacitated. That's whole cats laying on their feet kind of a situation. Furbog, your connection to animals deepens. You can always kind of communicate with animals. Now you can cast the Speak with Animals spell at will without expending a spell slot. And you also learn Animal Friendship and Beast Sense that you can cast once without expending a spell slot. Wisdom is your ability for all 3 spells. This is similar to kind of the Wood Elf magic that is in Xanathos. Got there. Excuse me. Like a Boss. This is for goblins. +1 to your dex. When a creature target that you can see targets you with an attack roll and another creature is within 5 feet, you can use your reaction to impose disadvantage on the attack roll. Once you use this ability, you can't do so until you finish a short or long rest. Merit Heritage. This is the last of the Genasi Heritage. This is for the Water Genasi out there, so Constitution or Wisdom. Again, Detect Magic at will, and then resistance to cold damage. Water Genasi get resistant to acid damage up front, so this is acid and cold. That's definitely not bad. Master of Mimicry is for the Kenku. Dex or Wisdom up by 1. And whenever another creature you can see uses a skill or tool, you can use your reaction to gain proficiency in that skill or tool. Proficiency gained in this way lasts for 1 hour. and you can only mimic one proficiency at a time. You get this back when you finish a short or long rest. The thought process being Kenku are very mimic-based. They can mimic voices and sounds. Now they can also mimic, apparently, mannerisms and things to learn how to use a skill or tool. I like it because this could be something like, let's say, I don't know, your rogue tries to pick the lock and they're like, I can't figure it out, but you watch them do it, now you could attempt with proficiency, or something like stealth or athletics or what have you. Maybe for climbing, you watch someone climb, now you have athletics so you can climb. Mountain's Endurance for the Goliaths, +1 strength or con. When you use your stone's endurance as a reaction to reduce damage, instead of rolling a d12 and adding your con mod, you can choose to just gain resistance. Resistance to the triggering damage type until the start of your next turn. If it chooses more than one damage type, choose one, which is unfortunate. As normal, after you use this trait, you must finish a short or long rest. So rather than a d12 plus your con mod, which could potentially be enough, you just take half damage, which I'm not a fan of. So it gives you a stat boost, strength or con +1, which is always nice. But you use your reaction to roll a d12 and add your con mod. So let's say you were going to take 10 damage, and your con mod was a 3, and you roll a 7. You reduce that damage to 0. Or, if you took this feat, a whole feat, remind you, to not get an ability score, you could gain resistance to that damage type. In that case, you would take 5 points of damage as opposed to 0. Now, I get it. The main reason that you would do this is probably for a much larger hit, like a dragon breathes its breath weapon on you and it does a butt ton of damage. You can cut it in half rather than rolling a d12 and adding your con mod. And I do like that you get the option to choose between the two, which is nice. So I guess that would be kind of the balance as you pick which one you want. I don't like that it's only resistance to one type of damage. So if you have someone that has a magic weapon, or you're fighting an evil paladin, or some sort of evil undead, you can only choose the necrotic or the slashing and bludgeoning piercing, not both. And it is still once per short rest. I think it would be cool if it gave you an additional use of it per short or long rest. But that's that. Serpent form is for the Yuan-Ti. Intelligence or charisma +1. You can use your action to polymorph into a medium-sized snake. Your statistics are the same in both forms, and your equipment molds with you. While you're in snake form, you gain a bite attack as a natural weapon instead of your unarmed strikes. It deals 1d4 plus your strength mod, piercing instead of bludgeoning. And when you hit with a bite attack, you can choose to deal an additional 2d6 poison damage to the target once per long rest. And the poison damage does not require a saving throw, it just does 2d6 poison damage. Aarakocra gets Sky Warden. This one I do like. Dex or Wisdom +1. You gain proficiency in Perception if you don't already have it. If you do, you get Expertise to double the proficiency in Perception. And once per turn, if you are flying and dive at least 30 feet, again, your fly speed is 60 as an Aarakocra, and dive at least 30 feet straight towards a target and hit it with a melee weapon attack, it takes an extra d6 damage. Not something you'll probably be doing all of the time, but it does extra damage, so it's something you could do once per turn if the opportunity arises. Tanaruk Blood, this is for the Orcs, not to be confused with the Half-Orc. This is the monstrous race Orc from Bolo's Guide to Monsters. Increase your strength or con by 1, gain resistance to fire and poison damage, 2 most common damage types in the game, very powerful. You gain a bite attack as a natural weapon instead of your unarmed strikes. If you hit, deal 1d6 plus your strength mod. That is great because that is probably, without being a monk, the best way to get a d6 plus your strength mod for an unarmed strike. Most things that you can do through feats or otherwise give you a d4. This gives you a d6, so this is pretty nice. And again, resistance to fire and poison is never something to what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. But basically, that is the two most common, aside from bludgeoning, piercing, slashing, the two most common elemental types of damage in the game. Tortle, whoops, I clicked on it, I didn't mean to. Tortle Protector, +1 strength or wisdom. This one's really good. +1 strength or wisdom. Your base AC for your Tortle stuff is now 18 as opposed to your normal 17. And as a reaction, when you are forced to make a dex save, choose a number of creatures within 5 feet of you. Any number, doesn't matter how many. Each creature chosen is considered to have half cover against any harmful attacks or effects while within 5 feet of you until the start of your next turn. This is once per short rest. Again, it doesn't matter if it's coming from in front and there's people in front of you, but they're still within 5 feet. You could literally be surrounded by people and use this feature to give them all half cover regardless of their actual orientation to whatever is doing it. So again, Tortle's already very strong with the 17 starting AC. This gives you 18. And again, find yourself some sort of other defense boosting items and your AC will be through the roof. Touch of Sesenek. This is for lizard folk. Increase your con or wisdom by 1. You can speak, read, and write Abyssal as the language, and you are immune to being frightened. This one's not as flashy as some of the other ones, but it is solid. You know, never being able to be scared as a class or as a racial trait is pretty big, considering that, you know, most of the ways you need to do that is either through like a 10th level paladin or a spell. Excuse me. Triton Deep Magic. Again, similar to the Furbolg magic and the Wood Elf magic. You learn to create or destroy water spell, which is first level at will. And then you can also cast Warding Wind and Water Breathing once per long rest without using a spell slot. Charisma is your spellcasting stat. Uphold the Legion is for hobgoblins. Con and intelligence increased by 1. You deal an extra 2d6 damage when you hit with a weapon attack if that creature is within 5 feet of an ally that isn't incapacitated. You can only use this trait once per combat, but this could make a very powerful hobgoblin rogue, or someone that operates closely with a rogue. That's a lot of extra damage, and it's once per combat, and it's free. So that's never a bad thing. Again, you have the opportunity to crit, and then turn that 2d6 into 4. And then you can use your saving face trait to help an ally now, instead of just yourself. So as a reaction, if an ally misses with an attack roll or fails an ability check or saving throw, you grant a bonus to the roll equal to the number of allies you can see within 30 feet. Maximum of +5. As normal, once you use this, you can't use it again until you finish a short or long rest. Erdwings is for kobolds. Your dex goes up by 1, you get a fly speed of 30 feet. Again, not super flashy, but hey. It's a little weird to just all of a sudden grow wings, but don't read too deep into it. And then well rested for the bugbear. Increase your strength. This is actually very powerful. Increase your strength or dex by 1. When you spend 1 or more hit dice during a short rest, you regain an extra 1d6 hit points. So it's only 1d6 regardless of the number you spend. So it's like a low-level bard Song of Rest, which also would stack with Song of Rest if both were used. And at the end of each long rest, you gain inspiration. If you recall inspiration from Chapter 4 of the Player's Handbook, inspiration is a currency that you can gain that lets you basically choose to roll with advantage. So essentially, you can get advantage, or, you know, for all intents and purposes, a reroll once a day, which is pretty nuts when you think about it. So, anyway, guys, that's my review of the Expanded Racial Feats. I do like some of them a lot. Some of them I think are kind of only okay. I still don't know why WotC didn't include them as official. Perhaps they sort of feel the same way, that some are overpowered and some are underpowered and they want to balance them out. I think it would be great to release them as a, as sort of like, almost as an errata or a bundle for Xanathar's Guide to Everything, so that it counts again for those folks that are looking for Adventurers League. Xanathar's Guide counts, I mean, I guess it wouldn't really matter, right, because all those other races are in a different book, but either way, I'd like to see them canonized and then possibly be updated if they need to be before they become official. But I like them. I'm going to use them in my campaign. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Are you going to use them in your campaign? I'm curious. So, anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.